sharing both the tough stories as well as easy stories is that we look at these great iconic leaders today and we hold them up on a pedestal sometimes, right? The Steve Jobs or the Margaret Thatcher or the J.K. Rowling, or possibly the person who's sitting right next to you, because there's some great leaders in this room I see. And we hold them up and we don't always think about their story in their full context. They didn't get there in this easy fashion. They got there by falling down. And how does strength come? From getting back up. It's muscle development. So when we say, today I'm not passionate, or today I'm not a leader, or today I'm not an innovator, I'm like, well, you haven't practiced that muscle yet. So just like, for those of us that work out, which I don't, I've kind of given it up for Lent. And Lent is lasting a long, long time. Strength comes from muscle, from actually just practicing. And the first day you go work out, after you haven't worked out for a while, it hurts. Right? And then you do that 10 more times, it doesn't hurt anymore. In fact, after a while, it's like the first thing you started with is really easy. Same thing here. Whatever you start with will hurt. And whatever level that you're at, you're going to push yourself. And that's okay, that's part of the story. But we do need new tools. We need to really think about what is it that helps me be a passionate, innovative leader. How do I get that power? And so what I want to spend the rest of the talk on is really helping you with some new tools and approaches. And so the new framework, as we're going to go enter this piece, has a lot of action in it. So you're going to see words like seeing, listening. They're action-oriented. So if you get nothing else from this, it's about moving forward. It's about you deciding to move forward. Having any of these tools without making a decision that you will actually implement them is useless. So let's talk about the six. Seeing. All of us come into the world with our own point of view. It's good. The degree to which we don't understand something is because it doesn't exist within our world yet. So figuring out how to see the situation as it is, see it further than you've seen it before, is an opportunity for innovation and an opportunity for leadership. Make sense? Risking. Not every decision you're going to make is going to be the right decision. Duh. And so how do we get okay with that? How do we say this is just part of the story? And whatever it is that I don't do well today, I will learn and I will do better tomorrow. Right? It's part of the story. Listening. We often don't listen to the voices that don't feel comfortable. We often listen to people like us. Fellow students, peers in our own group. Marketing people don't talk to finance people. Engineering, good God, does not talk to marketing. And whatever that hybrid is, we actually, or whatever that juxtaposition is, we actually don't recognize it, right? Because our world is limited. Here's another group we don't listen to. We don't listen to the salesperson who's failed. We listen to the salesperson who's succeeded. And while that's all good, here's the thing. The person who failed is the one that can tell you what's not working in the sales process, where he's getting resistance. And if you can get that salesperson to be more effective, your revenue will grow. Another person who's not listened to, customer service. You want to go figure out how to go create a whole new product? Go listen to customer service for an hour. They know every single thing that is needed for the next rep. And nobody ever goes and talks to them. They're usually in a different building or a different country. Sorting. So as we grow up in our career, there's a discernment process to say what is a good point of fact and what is not. Where is someone biased, where is someone not? And so learning to sort which facts matter, criteria by which we'll make any decision, incredibly important. Do you know how many people actually have that conversation? Why has that organization done that thing that one way for a long time? Don't know, but we're going to keep doing it. And I'm like, well, what if the facts changed? Right? What if the market's changed? And if you guys can't articulate the criteria by which you're going to make decisions and sort things, you guys can't actually change. Probably the only thing that we do well at our company, and we do a lot of good things, but the one thing we actually do is we sit there and we get everybody really clear about how we're going to make the decision. What's the criteria? Is it just about revenue? Can we execute it? Does it have to be through direct sales or indirect? There are unwritten rules inside every single company. And until you figure out how to unearth it, you can't figure out how to go forward. One of the guys I was just working with this week had a spreadsheet that was handed to him that basically gave him an anti-piracy number. And he was going to base a whole bunch of decisions about how he was going to spend money based on what was the piracy level in each of the countries. So he could kind of decide which countries were more likely to buy, right, based on software piracy. And so he was looking at this deep spreadsheet and stuff, and there was a number in there about what the piracy calculation was, and it was basically driving the whole spreadsheet. And he was relatively new to the company. He said, so can somebody tell me how the spreadsheet was built? And he goes, oh, that spreadsheet's been around for a long time. It's really well designed, no worries. And he goes, no, but can someone tell me what's driving this one number in this one? Because I'm like, look at the spreadsheet. It's the number one factor that's driving all the calculation. And I just want to make sure if I'm going to make a decision that's this big, it's like kind of $100 million decision or $200 million decision at this point, I just want to confirm this point of fact is valid. And you guys know where the story's going, right? Finance had put in a plug 3 years ago, a plug that they figured they'd come back and fix. People had changed, organizations had changed, blah, 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 and the spreadsheet had a life of its own. And if the guy hadn't asked the question about what's driving our decision, and let me make sure that point of fact is a really valid fact, he wasn't going to sort correctly. Next one, killing. You know, the funniest thing about strategy is people often talk about it's the choice of what to do. I think it's just the opposite. I think it's a choice of what not to do. Early in my career at McKinsey and at Apple, McKinsey used to come in and do these big slide presentations that were beautiful. And if you ever hire a McKinsey consultant, they are incredibly good at PowerPoint. And they'd come in and they'd present these things, and I'd always be like, walking out of the room, and I was in a relatively junior compared to now, and I'd be like, well, maybe somebody else knows how they're actually going to execute this. Because they'd always have more ideas. We hadn't actually made a decision about which of the many ideas we were going to go do. We just looked at this beautiful, and I'm like, yeah, but until you can actually say, we're not going to do these 8 things, we're going to stop doing this, we're going to cut this division because we want to resource this, you haven't actually done a strategy. What you've done is a PowerPoint. Okay. So we need to learn about killing off things in order for other things to thrive. And the last thing is being. Who we are, our values, our emotional maturity. Don't go near the computer. Our emotional maturity absolutely weighs into this process.